Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. As you heard in the intro, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Monday's the only day of the week where we go solo. We ride solo. I spent an hour roughly talking about all the game action on Sunday, and we'll do that here in a few moments. You can find me on social medias at the Ray Flowers. You can find me behind me. Oh, spread the Christmas cheer with a beer. It's kind of hard to see there because we've got the codes up, but it says on the bottom with a beer. Yes, and you're wondering what's going on. That is me as Santa Ray on my own beers. Had that a couple years ago. Yeah, pretty cool. By the way, for those of you that watched the show last week, my significant other did make it to Iceland on time. So she barely made the connecting flight. It all turned out pretty well. So thank you for all the well wishes. This show is Fantasy Sports Daily, 12 to 1 Eastern, about an hour, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more, on a Monday to Friday scenario here. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman's here on Wednesdays. Again, today is the only day of the week where it's only one of us from FantasyGuru.com. I just ramble on all show. We'll throw that up on the screen there. Let's see here. What do we got? Oh, Tony, you're not Santa. Yeah, I'm Santa. I actually played Santa Claus. It was my first acting my first acting experience. Mr. Hoy's third grade class. I was the lead. I was Santa Claus. It was the first time. I used to be an actor. Yeah, could you believe it? I think I've always said this. Was I a good actor? No. I think I was the lead in plays because I had a good memory and I could memorize the lines. With Yul, I was the king and I was the king. It was Yul Brynner's role. Had some fun. Did it through 8th grade, but then sports was just too much. Oh, you're not Santa. You smell like beef and cheese. Now I got you, Tony. I was off my game. Good comment there. As you can see there on the screen, for those of you wondering what the hell we're talking about, 3 places to watch the show live and leave comments, as Tony's already done. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Twitter X @FantasyGuru site, and Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. In those 3 places, comments, questions can be left during the show live, all that kind of good stuff. And like Chris says right here, morning, Ray. Thank you and the whole team for help this year. Made the playoffs in 3 leagues. Need 6 points from Metcalf today to advance in all 3. Yes. Chris, what do you need? 6 points. Metcalf's going to get 6 points. Come on. Stretch the field a little bit like you did last time, Steelers. Come on. So, yeah, you should be looking pretty good there. I feel pretty good about that, Chris. So, congratulations and you're welcome. Head over, and you're wondering about Chris and, saying, oh, thanks to all of us. Yeah, we're here and the show is free. But we also have a lot to offer over at FantasyGuru.com. By the way, there's 2 other places you can listen to the show live. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just type in Fantasy Sports Daily. Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, Apple iTunes. You can also go to fantasyguru.com and click that Elite Plus tab right at the top of the page and find it there. I beat my GPA to move to the playoffs. GPA, is that Grandpa? Is that Grandpa? That's good if you did that, Tony. So there's many ways to get involved. Obviously on the show, it's free here. We can also go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page, get signed up. Prices dropped again, $49.99 the rest of the way for all of our football coverage. That's all of college football, all of the NFL, all the seasonal coverage, all the DFS coverage, all the wagering coverage, all of the coverage for football. Rankings, podcasts, live streams, Discord rooms, projections, articles, all of it at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab or send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Let's go. By the way, my girlfriend, significant other, she is in Iceland, so I'm riding solo, man. Yeah, buddy. And you know what I've been doing every night? Watching Christmas movies. Yeah, I know. Haven't gotten crazy. Might have had a few Mai Tais because, what goes better with the holiday season than a Mai Tai? Maybe an Irish coffee. Maybe I'll do that here. Get the whipped cream out, or the heavy cream and whip it. That's the right way to do it. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. Hopefully you've been having a good time here in the holiday season, however you celebrate. We'll go game by game here. You can see it on the screen. It's what we do every Monday. I ramble on for basically an hour here, just talking nonsense. I have a couple of notes. I have like 3 sentences as we do this. This is live, you and me talking. I got 3 sentences of notes, just so I remember a couple things. 2 of them from the Houston Texans game, and one of them from, I already forgot what it was. Oh, Stephon Diggs note. So, yeah, that's it. No notes. We're just going to rock and roll. We're going to have our 50-ish minute discussion here with Sunday football. Let's get it on right now. First game to review. Browns fall to the Bears 31-3. The Browns are terrible. What do you need to know? Jerry Jeudy had a ball bounce off his hands. Could have been a touchdown, turned it into an interception. Shedeur Sanders went from 4 touchdowns to an absolutely horrible game where he was sacked a bunch of times, running around for dear life. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He played terribly. The real storyline here is twofold for the Browns. One, in a matchup where they should have had success against the Bears running the ball, they didn't. Now, part of that is because it was 14-0 in the first quarter. But Quinshon Judkins, 21 rushing yards. Ugh. Dylan Sampson was out with injury. Judkins, tremendous disappointment in this game. And then the positive side, Harold Fannin, 7 catches for 48 yards. It's a pretty good game. But 14 of 35 passes went his way. David Njoku was out with the knee injury yet again. Chris Tillman came back, didn't see a target. The offense right now is basically Harold Fannin. So if you got him the last couple of weeks, you're feeling pretty good about him at the tight end position. On the other side of things, this never happens. Happens sometimes. It happened on Sunday. It never happens, though. Rome Odunze was announced as active. Literally 5 minutes before kickoff, we heard he wasn't going to play. Now, that meant the Bears played the entire game down a player because they, that's why the inactives and actives are announced 90 minutes prior to the game. So Odunze was announced as active. We gave advice over at fantasyguru.com. Let's start this guy. Let's go. Everything looks good. If you have him, you probably play him. Let's downgrade more. Let's downgrade Luther Burden. Okay. And then literally 5 minutes before kickoff, we learned that he had a setback in pregame warmups and his foot was still an issue and he wasn't going to play. Oh, gut punch. I hope no one listening or watching played Odunze yesterday and didn't get a chance to get him out of the lineup. Because again, it never freaking happens. And this is, no one's trying to hide things. There was no competitive advantage gain, none of that kind of stuff. But the NFL needs to do a better job of this. Come on, man. 5 minutes before the game. So hopefully you got him out and you put Burden in there. Burden had 6 catches for 84 yards. Somehow DJ Moore had 2 touchdowns. He had 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. Was a huge performer. He was the biggest performer in this game, actually. He and DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift still the number 1 running back for this team. It's not a young guy. And okay. 2 touchdowns on the ground for Swift, 20 touches for him overall. But the big storyline was that Rome Odunze. Hopefully you didn't get screwed, because that was a jacked up situation in the fantasy space. And I personally, like you noticed yesterday, if you're in the Discord over at fantasyguru.com, I normally leave about 10 minutes before for kickoff. So I left before this news even came out. So about 10 minutes before kickoff, I say, all right, everybody, cool, thanks. I'm going to go get breakfast and get ready and situated to start watching the games. And then they announced he was out. Just brutal. Next up, Baltimore beat Cincinnati 24-0. My God, how many times did you hear on broadcasts or read in reports that the Bengals were officially eliminated from the playoffs? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, we've been talking about this for weeks. This is the most artificially created, nonsensical storyline anyone has tried to push on people all year long. The Bengals were never making the playoffs, period, end stop, over. This absolute freaking nonsense. There's a 1.2% nonsense. And I don't even know why. With all the storylines in the NFL, why was this something we were pushing? Anyway, the Ravens won this game 24-0, and the Ravens did nothing. Their offense, this was a pathetic offensive showing. Zay Flowers had a touchdown and was the big performer for the game, for them on the game. 3 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. If you watch the game, or even read the reports, Zay Flowers scored a touchdown. He dropped the second touchdown that was in his hands. He had a ball bounce off his hands for the interception Lamar Jackson threw. So he had quite the game, did Zay Flowers. Derrick Henry only had 11 carries. He ran for 100 yards. Lamar Jackson threw 12 passes. The greatest matchup in the history of football, the Bengals defense against the tight end. In an offense where the ball gets thrown to the tight end about a third of the time. What do we see yesterday? We saw 3 targets to Mark Andrews and 0 to Isaiah Likely. They threw the frickin' ball 12 times. There are way too many games in the NFL like this anymore. Again, the Ravens moved to 7-7. They kept their playoff hopes alive. They won 24-0. Like, okay. But what was 12 passes? What? I'm counting the 19, 5, 24 runs. Carries. They didn't have the runs. 24 carries, 12 passes. Did they play? They have 40. Did they have 40 offensive snaps? They didn't then, didn't they? Let's pull this up real quick. 36. 36 offensive snaps. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, rest in peace. Your fantasy teams probably took a massive hit because of that. Playing them against the Bengals was the right call. The results were just dreadful. Frickin' Ravens. On the Bengals side of things, Jamar Chase, 10 for 132 was about it. Chase Brown had 7 catches to save his day. Though Sanjay Pirine actually had 1 more carry. So they're pretty even anymore on the ground here. It's the passing work of Brown that keeps him active. T. Higgins didn't play in this game. Tinsley only saw 2 targets with Tinsley out. That was extremely disappointing. Bengals did absolutely nothing, and they fell out of the playoffs. Arizona fell to the Houston Texans 40-20. This was the expectation all along. I believe this was the 16th consecutive game. I think I saw that tight end record. 16th consecutive game that Trey McBride caught 5 balls. He caught 12 for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like he and Jacoby Brissett, fire, just fire. Michael Wilson didn't have a big game, but 5 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Another double-digit target effort for him. Jacoby Brissett threw for 249 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's the first quarterback effort against the Texans, who have a tremendous defense. The first quarterback all season long in Week 15 that threw 3 touchdown passes against them. Yesterday is Jacoby Brissett. He reached his 40 passes that we've talked about here on the show all the time. They're just, wow. Bam Knight, Donovan Knight hurt his ankle. It sounds like he's going to miss time. Mari DiMercado came back, barely saw the field. Michael Carter had 4 catches, 14 carries. It's 18 touches. Didn't do anything really. He had 18 touches for 94 scrimmage yards. So if you played Michael Carter, Jeff Mans did talk about him last week as, look, if you're desperate, got something out of him. But this game, as always, was about Brissett, McBride, and Wilson. Another game without Harrison on the field. On the other side, Houston, C.J. Stroud, nice game. 22 for 29, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, was very efficient. Nico Collins only caught 3 balls, but 2 of them were touchdowns. Yippee-ki-yay. 8 catches and a touchdown for Dalton Schultz. Yippee-ki-yay. Hutchinson, 1 catch for 16 yards. Higgins, 1 catch for 4 yards. Kirk, no catches. Noel, no catches. Ugh. The big storyline here is Woody Marks had only 8 touches. Why? Because he hurt his ankle. Now we're heard after the game that he's okay, and it's very likely if this game was more competitive that he could have gone back in. So the bottom line is we're expecting him to return next week. Jahar Jordan came on and ran 15 carries for 101 yards. This really stinks if you played Marks because obviously if you add this together, that's 22 carries and 130 yards on the ground. So yeah, it really stung to lose Marks in a matchup where he was going to have success, in a matchup where the Texans were going to be in the lead and milk out the clock on the ground in the second half. They did that. It just didn't happen with Marks. But again, Marks at this point in time is expected to return for the next game. The Jets fired their Wilkie, their defensive coordinator. They lost 48-20. They fall to 3-11. Cook was 176 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks. He was fine. He ran for 39 yards. No one played him. It doesn't matter. The rushing touchdown went to Isaiah Davis. That was distressing if you played Breece Hall. Breece Hall had 13 touches, 30 yards. This offense we know it just stinks. And, at this point, even when you want to play Hall because you're like, he's going to get 15 touches, it's 43 yards, 58 yards. Like he's got to rip off some 40-yard play here because this offense is so bad. It's just so bad. Adonai Mitchell had 6 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown, so he came through. He's become their number 1 receiver, which is not surprising given his skill set. It's not the role he should fill. We still don't know if Garrett Wilson's going to come back. I don't know why he would. There's always a chance he could here down the stretch. Probably won't. Isaiah Williams had 6 catches, 53 yards, his best game of his career. John Mechie, another 4 catches, 25 yards, didn't do anything. Mason Taylor didn't play because of his neck. So again, nah. On the other side, the Jaguars. Hey, Trevor Lawrence. If you pivoted to Trevor Lawrence because you had no choice. If you thought the matchup against the Jets, all right, I'm going to play Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to stream a quarterback. Okay. If you use him as your QB2, as your super flex. Yippee-ki-yay. 5 touchdowns through the air, 6 touchdown on the ground, the best game of his life. Just a phenomenal fantasy performance. We talked a lot early in the week about Kyle Pitts and the 45 PPR points he put up in his huge game with the 3 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns from Trevor Lawrence. Come on, man. If you're facing that, if you played that, if you're facing that. And the remarkable thing is here, if you look at this, 3 catches for Travis Etienne, 3 touchdowns. Tootin, 1 catch, 1 touchdown. He completed 4 passes to those 2 running backs and had 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Jacoby Myers was the leader, 5 catches for 71 yards, but he didn't get in the end zone. Brian Thomas got in the end zone, 4 for 66 and 1, which is a massive effort for him anymore. But again, remember this. 4 of the 5 touchdowns went to the running backs. Brenton Strange, 1 catch. On the ground, no one ran for more than 32 yards. Like, this is a whitewashing. They made a bunch of big plays. They beat an overmatched opponent. Not a huge amount of takeaways. Though you can say that Trevor Lawrence, he'll never be the greatest player of all time like he was expected to be, but he's looked better in the second half of the season, and he is moving in the right direction here, which is good to see. And again, if you use that, I don't know why you would have, but if you did use that, oh boy. Chargers defeated the Chiefs 16-13. This game obviously marred by the injury to Mahomes. We'll get to that in a second. The Chargers basically said before the game they're going to go hot hand approach, and they kind of did that in the backfield, unfortunately. Hampton had 15 carries. Vidal had 12 carries. They didn't pass the ball very effectively, barely 200 passing yards for Herbert. They won a hard-fought, tight game here with that late field goal at the end of the third quarter. No one scored in the fourth. Gadsden had 4 catches for 61 yards to lead the way, his best game in a while. He's gone from a nobody to a must start to 10 points yesterday. It's kind of the high water mark for like a month now. A little disappointing there. Trey Harris stepped up when Quentin Johnson went down. He was the leading receiver out wide with 49 yards, 3 catches. Who cares? Keenan Allen, 5 for 36, less than 10 PPR points is kind of where he's been now for 2 months. Ladd McConkey, 2 catches for 20 yards. Oof. Yeah. We warned against Ladd McConkey all preseason. We know that people were too high on him based upon ADP and the way people were talking about him. But this has gotten rough here the last month. Some of this obviously because Justin Herbert's hand, and they're trying to protect him and is grind out a game against a Chiefs opponent that's still pretty good despite falling out of the playoffs yesterday. But the return of Hampton has made them pretty much a 50-50 pass run team. And this is kind of like the situation with the Rams, right? It's like Hampton's the guy you want to play, just like Kyron Williams is the guy you want to play. And there's no question about that in either scenario. But whether it's Vidal or Quorum, those guys are involved a lot. So those guys are kind of flex options. And the bigger thing that they do is they cap Hampton and Williams from having these huge efforts. Though let's point out, Hampton still touched the ball 16 times yesterday. In a game where the offense kind of grounded it out and didn't really, 16 touches, very heartening mark for Marion Hampton moving forward. Again, on the other side, Patrick Mahomes hurts his knee late. I haven't seen, is it officially official? He's ACL season's over. We know that. Question, I guess, now is surgery. Patrick Mahomes is done, unfortunately. The Chiefs are done. First time in 11 years. They're not going to make the playoffs. Gardner Minshew will be the quarterback. That means a lot of passes to Travis Kelce. If Travis Kelce continues to play, I don't know why he wouldn't. I've seen the reports. If Travis Kelce can, they're going to just shut down the season. Again, teams don't do that. We'll see. But Kelce, 7 for 70 yesterday. He's in line for a lot more of that with Gardner Minshew. Rice caught 7 balls for 51 yards. He was beat up, had a couple of big hits. Thornton had a huge hit, penalty. Guy got thrown out of the game, the whole thing. Worthy, Marquise Brown, Thornton, these guys are not going to be catching deep balls from Gardner Minshew. It'll be a lot of dump offs. Maybe Brashard Smith gets some go here. They gave Pacheco 11 carries yesterday, didn't do anything. They gave the ball to Kareem Hunt. He didn't do anything. Maybe Brashard Smith will catch some passes out of the backfield with Gardner Minshew coming down the pipe for the Chiefs. The Bills defeated the Patriots in one of the games of the day. The Bills were down 21-0. That's like the first game the Patriots have blown a 21-point lead at home in a gazillion years. I don't remember what the number was, but it's a long time. 21-0, and you lose? They were down 21-0, and they had 5 consecutive drives to the Bills where they scored a touchdown. And this is why all the time we say it and we see it. Like, teams jump out to these big leads, and sometimes they sit on it and they win 21-17 or 24-21, right? Sometimes you jump out to a big lead like this and you kind of relax a little bit and you lose. And the Patriots lost, right? Bills stay in the hunt for the division title, move to 10-4. The Patriots fall to 11-3. Josh Allen ran for 48 yards, threw for 193 and 3. 2 touchdowns to Dawson Knox, one to Mr. Cook out of the backfield. Cook had 3 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 2 rushing, and another huge game for Cook. This team can run the football. But the passing game, despite 35 points and the 3 touchdowns, also, Allen didn't even throw for 200 yards again. And you look at the receiving core, Shakir 5 for 65. Okay, that's a Shakir game. Dawson Knox had 2 touchdowns, not Kincaid. Dawson Knox. He only caught 3 balls, but 2 touchdowns, fine. Kincaid had 3 for 34. Palmer had 1 catch. Brandon Cooks had no catches. Coleman had no catches. Like, they don't have. It's stunning that the team is 10-4. That they have such a good offense. They score points so easily and frequently. And other than Khalil Shakir catching 5 balls for 52 yards a week, they got nothing at the wide receiver spot. Nothing. Coleman, Shaver, nothing. And sooner or later, at some point, that's going to cost them. I mean, this is 2025. You can't be winning games with your quarterback throwing the ball to running backs and tight ends all the time. You can do that. We see it happen every week, but you're not winning the Super Bowl doing that. So we'll see. Got a couple of games here to the Bills to try to figure that out, but another game with absolutely no production from the wide receiver spot. It's stunning. On the other side, Drake May had a poor passing game, 155 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. He did have the 2 rushing scores. I think the highlight of the game, though, might have been as Trevion Henderson's rumbling down the field for one of his long touchdown runs. There's Drake May basically running stride for stride with Trevion Henderson. Trevion Henderson is so fast. He's unbelievable. Drake May, hell of an athlete. For those of you that missed it, he ran down the field and kind of ran some interference so Henderson could get in the end zone. The big storyline was Henderson, 148 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. 117 of those yards were on 2 plays. But that's the game that Henderson brings, right? That big hitting ability. Ramondre Stevenson had 6 carries for 50 yards. He caught 3 balls for 27 yards. Still on the field all the time. Still catching more passes than Henderson, all that kind of stuff. Can't ignore Henderson, what he did and can do. But again, it wasn't another one of those massive workload efforts for Henderson. It was him exploding all over the Bills for a couple of runs. On the catching side of things, again, 160 yards under that was Drake May. No touchdown passes, so no one stepped up here. The whole situation, though, with Stephon Diggs was disastrous, troubling, and it makes you concerned a little bit about the Patriots because Christian Benford, the number 1 cornerback for the Bills, was out of the game. So the Bills are down their best cornerback. Why is Stephon Diggs getting 4 targets in a game that you realize pretty quickly you're up 21-0? You're pretty quickly the game's tied. I don't know. The Patriots, they're 11-3. They've exceeded expectations. Drake May's played great football, all these kind of things. But the weekly uncertainty at the running back position, the weekly uncertainty at the pass catching position. I saw this written somewhere. 8 targets, 4 catches, 41 yards for Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins is a really good football player. He can block. He's a good teammate, all these kind of things. But the report said, and I completely agree, if Mike Hollins is leading your team in a game you're trying to win your division against an opponent that could go to the Super Bowl like the Bills, if your number 1 pass catcher, your number 1 target guy, your number 1 route runner, and your number 1 yardage guy is Mac Hollins, all those things, you're not winning. Mac Hollins is a very good football player, and he's an excellent complementary player. You shouldn't be leading your team in targets, receptions, and yards. In the game, you're trying to tell the opponent you've arrived. Really disappointing for the Patriots on that front. The Giants lost to the Commanders 29-21. Chris Rodriguez was out of this game with an injury. We talked about it on the show all week last week and said, look, sometimes matchups don't work. Likely and Andrews against the Bengals. Sometimes matchups don't work, but sometimes they do. So if you pivoted off Rodriguez to Bill, to JCM, you got it. 18 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Boom, there it was. Giants came into this game allowing, 6.1 yards a carry over the last month and a half? 6.1 yards a carry. JCM stunk. He only had 5.3. Bottom line is he gave you everything you possibly could have hoped for. Almost got 100 yards. I guess that could have, some leagues are 100-yard bonus leagues, so maybe he gave you a little less than you could have hoped for. But that was exactly what I would have expected Rodriguez to do. We got it from JCM instead. Mariota was fine. He ran for 43 yards, threw for 211 and a touchdown, had a fumble, whatever. McLaurin got in the end zone, so good for him. But that was really it. This game was from an offensive perspective. There was nothing to see here from fantasy perspective for the Commanders. On the other side, Jackson Dart hit again in the head, checked again, he played through it. Okay, but this is, for those of you that are in Dynasty and Keeper Leagues, like Jackson Dart, I mean, he didn't play a great game yesterday. He didn't. But he threw for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 63 yards. Like, he is a dynamic fantasy option, right? Can he play 17 games? I mean, this has been a rough rookie season. So we'll see, but not ideal. I don't know. Anyway, Theo Johnson, 3 catches, 72 yards. The big offensive performer was Wendell Robinson in terms of pass catching, 5 for 54 yards and a touchdown. But the big performer was actually Tyrone Tracy, who had a rushing and receiving touchdown. So for those of you that played Tracy in your flex or whatever, you got a payoff. You got 2 touchdowns. Devin Singletary still was getting the goal line work, which is a concern. Again, Tracy scored 2 touchdowns. But Singletary got the work at the goal line, but really didn't play much and didn't touch the ball much. So we're back to it was going to be Tracy's backfield when Scotty Blue got hurt. Then it was Devin Singletary's backfield. Then it was a split backfield. We're now back to Tracy being obviously the lead back in the backfield and having that huge game against Commanders yesterday. The Eagles defeated the Raiders 31-0. Yeah. The Raiders, and again, they're a beaten team. They're going nowhere. They're trying to get the first pick, let's be honest. They're going to clean house. You have to figure they're a bad football team who lacks talent, who at this point in time just lacks a will to win, it appears. That was one of the worst. It was 31-0. And if the Eagles wanted to, I mean, what was the score at halftime? It was 17-0 at halftime. It was 31-0 overall. The Eagles basically benched their whole offense in the fourth quarter. I mean, if they wanted to, this could have been 50-0. Legit. That was an embarrassing, straight up embarrassing effort by the Raiders. The Raiders ran the ball for 46 yards, and they threw the ball for 64 yards. They had less than 100 net yards in the game. And, I mean, just Kenny Pickett threw the ball 25 times for 64 yards, which is impossible. I could do that. Literally, Ray Flowers, put a helmet and some shoulder pads. I could do that. That's impossible. Flowers had 6 catches, so okay, 28 yards, 8.8 points. He had 8.8 points. Genty had what? 5 receiving, 3. He had about 8.4 points. Genty, like, this is. Are we actually hoping Geno Smith returns? Yeah, kind of are. On the Eagles side of things, look, there's not a lot to take away from the passing attack. Hurts threw 3 touchdowns on only 15 passes. One of those went to A.J. Brown, 2 for 41 and a touchdown. So he was okay. It was a disappointing effort, but at least you got in the end zone. Devonta Smith had 2 for 50. Terribly disappointing effort because, again, there was no volume here. Saquon Barkley caught a couple of balls. He ran for 78 yards and a touchdown. So there's 2 real takeaways here. One, Barkley got in the end zone. He had 24 touches and produced under 100 yards. Still not doing anything. 3.5 yards against the Raiders in this game. Disappointing, man. Like, Barkley, come on, man. First round draft pick everywhere. It wasn't even second round. He didn't fall. First round draft pick everywhere. In a game that you win 31-0 where you smash an opponent, 3.5 yards a carry, like. And the second thing that really stood out here is, look, we talked about the wonder that was Zay Flowers in the game with the touchdown reception, the touchdown drop, the ball off his hands for an interception. Dallas Goedert went bananas. I talked earlier this week about benching Kyle Pitts in my Dynasty League. And he goes out and scores 3 touchdowns and has 45 points. Why did I bench him? Because I had Dallas Goedert in my lineup, who we did have ranked ahead of Kyle Pitts this week. Wasn't Kyle Pitts, but he went out and produced, what, 13, 12, 25 points? 6 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, instead of 670 and 2, that should have read 774 and 3. He dropped a touchdown pass at the goal line where there was no one within 20 feet of him. It was right in his hands, and he dropped it. Again, 670 and 2, who cares? but he should have had a third touchdown. Pretty wild. Eagles win that football game. I see some comments here. Thomas says, in 2 leagues down 21 in each and have DK left, I'm assuming I'm toast. Well, what do you have last week? You had 21 points last week. Was it 71-48? You got a chance, Thomas. It'll be tight, but you got a chance. J Main said, what a day. Played Pitts. He got Molly, whooped Sun God, McBride, Nico. Whoa, that's a lot going on. I played Brissett with McBride. To me, J Main, I would not have played Brissett. It was a bad decision, in my opinion, to play Brissett. Now, we talked about it. 249 and 3 touchdowns. His performance was there. He continues the strong, great work, actually. First time a quarterback threw for 3 touchdowns against the Texans all season long. But that one absolutely played out in your benefit this week. Gavin winning my playoff matchup by 0.2 points on that last catch by Amon-Ra. Ooh, let's hope there's no score corrections. Yes. Way to go, Gavin. Dominic says, I'm down 12. He has Boswell, and I have these options in my flex. Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon, Kenneth Gainwell. Who wins? Well, Kenneth Gainwell easily, 100%. Get him in. Those other 2 guys now. Achan's going to play. He's going to be fine tonight. That's what we're hearing. Go with Kenneth Gainwell. We got a report this morning within the last hour from Tom Pelissero that Jalen Warren was placed. Well, they updated his status. Illness. Now, again, someone asked me last week about the illness with McCaffrey. I said, look, McCaffrey's going to play through it, and he did. Players always play through illness, but this is, this is day of the game. We're hearing that he's injured. He's ill. So I don't know. So Jalen Warren, absolutely. At this point in time, there's questions. He woke up feeling sick. He's getting fluids. They're optimistic he's going to play, but it does not sound like he's anywhere near 100%. So in your case, Dominic, absolutely go with Kenneth Gainwell. Jay Main says, I heard a lot of people to say, go with what you got. So I stayed with the Brissett. Yeah, it's fine. I think we had Brissett ranked 22nd or whatever. Again, it was a bad decision to start him. It worked out. Good for you. I'm glad you ignored the advice. It just was it was not the right decision. Sometimes the wrong decisions work. Sometimes the right decisions don't work. We talked about Quinshon Judkins earlier. That was the right decision. Didn't work. So that's not always the way it works. So, we'll keep it going. Ethan said, my opponent had Amon-Ra St. Brown, Pitts, Allen, Franklin, and Henderson. So it was a good year. Yeah, sometimes you run into that. In that Dynasty League that I referenced, I killed it this year. My team was great. We redrafted, started from scratch and everything. I'm 12-2. I steamrolled all the way into the playoffs, and I'm going to lose. Holmes had 15 points. O'Marion Hampton had 7 points. Justin Jefferson had 4 points. Derek Brown had 4 points. Demario Davis had 9 points. Like Hufunga had 6 points. Jordan Poyer had 7 points. Like all my guys underperformed. So that great season, 12-2, steamrolled to the playoffs. I'm going for my first championship in the Dynasty League. It's over. It happens sometimes, unfortunately. All right, let's continue going here, talking football games here. Packers fall to the Broncos, one of the better games of the day, 34-26. Interesting. Christian Watson can't stay healthy. Okay, he caught 3 balls for 29 yards today, fell on that catch in the middle of the field and grabbed his shoulder and everything. I don't know how they said it's a chest injury. Like, that's a really, like, we all saw it, right? It was a shoulder injury. Shoulder, chest, whatever. The bottom line is they're saying that Watson's got a chance to play next game, which is very surprising because it obviously didn't look good. So this is about as good a news as we could get on Watson. We'll see if he plays or not, but it's not catastrophic. At least that's what we're hearing. Jayden Reed is the guy right now. If Watson is down, he got caught 5 balls for 55 yards. Golden went 3 for 55, stepping up a little bit. Romeo Doubs 2 for 36. I mean, this is crap nothing here. Really, this offense was about Josh Jacobs, who, there's concerns about Jacobs later in the week, and we said play him, and hopefully you did because he got in the end zone on the ground. He got in the end zone through the air. That was a great catch he made in the corner of the end zone. If you didn't see it, I would recommend going to watch it. Looked like a wide receiver. It was a great catch. Strong hands is that man, Josh Jacobs. So he got in the end zone twice, but that was really it. Wasn't a big offensive explosion. Jordan Love only hit 24-40 passes. Way too many air balls. Way too many throws off his back foot. We talk about it all the time. They even mentioned it on the broadcast. When you're, tossing passes up and you're facing the Titans, who cares? When you're facing the Broncos, you're not driving the football. They're going to make plays on you. A couple of interceptions against Love. Now, one of them bounced off the hands of Wicks, but okay. But the bottom line is the Packers are really going to look at Watson and hope he's healthy. The rest of the offense kind of looked like we expected. Now, the huge news that hasn't officially been confirmed is Micah Parsons has tore his ACL. And if that's the case, obviously Parsons is a top 5 defensive player in this league. You can make the argument he's 1 or 2. You can make an argument that he's one of the top 5 players in the NFL. And obviously the whole complexion of the Packers defense changes completely if Parsons, as expected, is indeed out the rest of the season. Crushing blow, non-contact. In the case of Mahomes, he took that weird step as he was getting tackled. In the case of Parsons, non-contact. We see this happen. The non-contact injury, terrible news there with the Packers. On the Broncos side of things, Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns to tie a career high, threw for 304. That's pretty good. RJ Harvey got in the end zone. Harvey hurt his ribs late, so let's watch that and see what the reports suggest about Harvey and whether he's going to have any limitations here moving forward. He is clearly the lead back. There's no debate any longer. He did get in the end zone, as I noted. He had 19 carries. Didn't do anything, 65 yards, but Beatty and McLaughlin are playing single-digit snaps, and, they're just there now. So we know Harvey's the guy, as it all along should have been, actually, since the injury to Dobbs occurred. Pass catching wise, Cortland Sutton 7 for 113 and a touchdown. Franklin had a touchdown. Little Jordan Humphrey had a touchdown. Bandy had a touchdown as well. We cracked the code, right? We cracked the code. You know what I'm talking about. We talked all the last 2 weeks about Pat Bryant coming back after the bye week, how he had more targets and run more routes and played more snaps than Troy Franklin. We said, look, he's past Troy Franklin. When Bryant was looked at physically as, we said on the show, if Bryant's not playing, Troy Franklin's back in play. Troy Franklin, Bryant out. Troy Franklin, 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown. It's not that simple, but it's kind of that simple, right? Now, I will note that Franklin played less than 2/3 of the snaps on passing downs. So, Marvin Mims saw a lot of run. Little Jordan Humphrey actually had more snaps. So, but if you had the Troy Franklin bingo card, and you went with him because Pat Bryant was down with an injury, you got a huge payoff there for the Broncos. The Rams defeated the Lions 41-34. The Lions fall to 8-6. The Rams improved to 11-3. Lots going on in this game. Jahmyr Gibbs, had his highest snap count of the season. It might have been in first career. I have to check that. His highest snap count of the season. They scored 34 points, so he did great things. No, he had 17 touches for 58 yards. I think I saw that his yards before contact for the game was under 1. The Rams have a good defense, and they held the rushing attack in check. But Gibbs was on the field all the time. David Montgomery is playing like a quarter of the snaps now. Number was below that yesterday. He got in the end zone, so if you desperately used him, at least you got that. But since Dan Campbell took over play calling, it's all Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, unfortunately, it was a horrible time for him to do nothing yesterday. Your first-round draft pick got 4 points there, 6 points there. You got 9.8 points. Yeah, that's a tough one. Jared Goff went for 338, 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 18 targets yesterday, 13 for 164 and 2. Jameson Williams, 7, 134 and 1. So their top 2 receivers had 20 catches, 298 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And they lost. Ooh. They don't have a tight end right now. No tight end caught a pass yesterday. The only guy that I haven't mentioned who even caught a pass was Raymond. Khalif Raymond's got 1 pass for 20 yards. So it goes with the Lions. On the Rams side of things, yesterday was almost a 50-50 split in terms of snaps between Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. Corum got in the end zone with 71 rushing yards. Williams got in the end zone twice with 78 rushing yards. Matthew Stafford went for 368 yards and 2 scores. Now, there's a couple things going on here. One, the Rams, according to Pro Football Focus, ran 46 snaps out of 13 personnel yesterday. 13 personnel is 3 tight ends on the field. 46 snaps in that play calling scenario yesterday. That is the most in Pro Football Focus history. That's 20 years. That's the most a team has ever run in a game, ever. And they're going to keep doing that. Why are they going to keep doing that? Well, number one, because they like throwing the ball around the goal line. And obviously, Kobe Parkinson who had 5 catches for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has been huge of late. I think he has 6 scores in 6 games. Now, one of those catches for a touchdown was obviously 100%, zero question, even for a Rams fan, not a touchdown. He was short of the end zone by feet. There's a great picture of him down with his knee on the ground. He's 2 feet from the goal line. I don't know what. I mean, we have instant replay, and they couldn't tell he was 2 feet away from the goal line when he was down. But anyway, hey, 5 for 75 and 2, massive game for him. They're going to continue, though, probably to run those 13 personnel because they ran, I think it was 42 plays the previous game, so the 2 highest marks in NFL history. Puka Nacua had cramps late. We'll see. He had a huge game, 9 for 181. But the real concern is Davante Adams, who's had a hamstring injury for a couple of weeks now. 4 catches for 71 yards. Pulled up on a route yesterday, came out of the game. And after the game, we heard from the team that it's not looking great for him to play this week. So that's a big storyline to follow. Would Davante Adams even play next week for the Rams? We'll have to follow that storyline to find out. Carolina, we talked about Carolina on this show a lot, and we said, look, they could make the playoffs with the way things are playing out. But if they make the playoffs, it's one and done, and they're not really that good of a team. They're playing better and all that kind of stuff, and good for them, got the organization turned around. But they blew a game 20-17 to the freaking Saints yesterday. Awful. I forget the defensive player who got the personal foul late to give Smith a better chance at the field goal. They basically lose on the last play of the game, 20-17. Bryce Young threw for 163, didn't do anything, ran for 49 yards, fine. He's just a guy. There's been a couple of nice games this season for them through the air, but including that one 442-yard game, whatever it was. But it's just not. Bryce Young's just not it. He's just a dude. Coker had 4 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Leggett 2 for 39. McMillan 2 for 25. Ugh, terribly disappointing. On the ground, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. Basically, Dowdle's the first and second down guy. Hubbard's become the third down back. Dowdle left the game a little bit. He was beat up. He did return. Still had 17 touches. Did nothing. 17 touches for 54 yards, but he got in the end zone. And that was about it for the Panthers. A terribly, terribly game. On the Saints side of things, Tyler Shuck was blasted multiple times when he was sliding. That's one of the hard things in the NFL. A quarterback is supposed to slide to protect himself, right? He goes down and everything like that. How many times when a quarterback slides does he get blasted? Justin Fields gets blasted all the time when he's sliding. It happened multiple times to Tyler Shuck yesterday. Now, again, you got 2 guys running full speed at one another. The decision has to be made like that. I know it's a bad snap. My snap is not working. You know what I'm saying. The decision's made in a tenth of a second. If I'm running at a guy and he's running at me full speed, I'm very likely to blast him too. It's just, you can't play back. You have to play forward in the NFL. So you're never going to remove those situations from happening. But if you're a quarterback, do you really slide? If you're going to slide, you have to slide early. Because otherwise you're just sliding, giving yourself up, and you're getting blasted in the shoulders and head. So we'll see. They didn't seem after the game, the Saints, to be overly concerned with Shuck, but he was shaken up at the end of that game. 272 yards and a touchdown. Olave didn't do much until Devon Bailey went down with an injury. We'll have to see if Bailey's available next game. Keep an eye on that report. He had 5 catches for 69 yards. Olave went nuts in the second half. He had 6 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. We also have to keep an eye on Devin Neal, who got hurt in this game. Neal got in the end zone and then never played again. Hull and Estime basically shared the work thereafter. Hull basically playing third downs. Estime basically playing the early downs. Estime would be my slight lean at the moment over Hull if Neal's out. Estime over Hull if, again, Neal is out. But again, I said this last week and I'll repeat it here. If Neal is out, we're not doing Hull and Estime. Not in the fantasy playoffs. DFS, okay. In the fantasy playoffs, no, we're not doing that. Ethan says, this may be a stretch, but is Puka going to become one of those what could have been types? I know his numbers are amazing, but I feel like he's always hurt. Well, I mean, truthfully, Ethan, possibly. And I've said this many, many, many times. And it's why I never, including this season, was about, I don't know how many people I said, you got to draft Puka Nacua. If he's there at pick 12, you got to take him. I've said it, and it's very accurate as you're commenting here, Ethan, that he misses snaps nearly every game with an injury. almost every single game with an injury. Is he on the sidelines at some point, stretching or taking a breather or getting checked by a doctor? Almost every single game. And part of that is that he's got the ball in his hands a ton. Part of that is he's running all these in-breaking routes, and there's lots of things happening in the center of the field. There's reasons for it, but the fact is he's always in and out of the lineup. He's in the blue tent frequently, and he's said, and I don't know how much of this plays into it, but he's also said he's not going to play until he's 35. So, I mean, and that's another concern if you're in a dynasty keeper scenario. He could get blasted, have a significant concussion or tear a knee ligament or something. He might just not play anymore. I mean, it's, want to be able to walk or remember your name when you're 40. So, yeah, he is a tremendous football player. He lays his body on the line, the whole thing. But his style of football and going back into the college years, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a great run, but a short period of time for Puka Nacua. 3 more games here left on the show on Monday. Remember, I'm Ray Flowers. Go to fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in that top right corner. Send an email if you have a question about the product, not about starting lineups, not about the waiver wire, about the products over at fantasyguru.com. Send that note to support@fantasyguru.com. Get signed up right now. You see it on the screen there. Our football product is college football and the NFL. Everything we have. All the information, whether it's articles or live streams or podcasts or rankings or Discord rooms. Everything we have for football the rest of the season. Seasonal, DFS, wagering. The only thing it doesn't include is the Super Bowl betting package. Everything else, the rest of the season, $49.99. Get signed up. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. The Colts fell to the Seahawks. This was a game, Phillip Rivers is almost a hero. The Colts had a field goal to take the lead 16-15 with under a minute left in this game. And it didn't last because Myers came out and hit a 56-yard field goal to win the game. His 6th field goal of the game. So if you're using kicker still and you had Myers, yeah, exactly. Phillip Rivers, look, a lot of people are jumping on Phillip Rivers because he's gained weight and he's gotten fat. He hasn't played football for 5 years, fine, right? He's made hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever he made. He's got 112 kids and he's got a grandkid now, the whole thing. He's coaching high school football. I'm in my 50s. I've gained 2 pounds from when I was 40. Come on, man. Come on. You're a pro athlete too. And again, Phillip Rivers, pretty bad example because I don't know how athletic Phillip Rivers ever, most of these football players, right, they're chiseled monsters. It's Phillip Rivers, right? Okay, he always kind of looked like your grandpa anyway. But really, dude, he looked like he gained 20, 30 pounds. Significant. 20 pounds? Anyway, he didn't do anything, but he did enough to actually help his team win a football game in a very difficult scenario, traveling across country, playing a team in the Seahawks who moved to 11-3, playing in one of the most difficult places in all of football to play in Seattle. And he had this team with under a minute left in this game in position to win. Pretty impressive. He threw for 120 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown went to Josh Downs. Everything as we anticipated or expected. Everything was underneath. It was short stuff. No one hit 35 receiving yards. Amir Abdullah, he caught 5 balls. Amir Abdullah led the way. Danny Woodhead too. Yeah. So the offense is going to be very moderate at best, if not poor, with Phillip Rivers under center. But they had a chance to win this game. I assume since he started yesterday and didn't do anything wrong that he gets the next start. It won't be Leonard. We'll see if Anthony Richardson can ever get healthy, but I think they're going to continue to go with Phillip Rivers. Jonathan Taylor had a huge game in terms of touches, 28. He did have 100 scrimmage yards, but it was rough sledding. Didn't get in the end zone. But remember, on the road against Seattle, that's about as difficult a matchup as you're going to get for Jonathan Taylor. On the Seattle side of things, Darnold threw 36 passes, no touchdowns. And Njigba 7 for 113. He's matchup proof. Shaheed, second game in a row where he's caught 4 balls for 60 yards, I think. He was 5 for 74 yesterday. Cooper Kupp even caught 5 balls. But the real story here for me is this. They're 11-3, and they're steamrolling to the playoffs, Seattle. But what has gone on with this rushing attack? What has happened? 8 carries for 31 yards for Charbonnet, 9 carries for 17 yards for Walker. Both these guys are just flex options. And, neither one is confident start. It's remarkable how bad things have gotten especially for a team that's doing so well and winning so many football games. This is disastrous. The Titans fell to the Niners 24-37 as expected. The Niners improved to 10-4. Titans were completely overmatched and out of this game pretty quickly, even though the score was kind of closer than you thought it would be. Cam Ward threw 2 touchdown passes, okay, but 170 yards. Touchdown to Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive lineman. That's really helpful. Thanks for that, guys. And then Gunnar Helm, the tight end, 4 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown to lead the way. He only played like 18 snaps. He hurt his toe, so he wasn't really even on the field. But when he was out there, they were throwing him the football. Helm is somebody that, again, with Chigakonkwo, who led the team with 6 targets and tied Helm with 4 catches. With Chigakonkwo there, you can't really start Helm this year in anything other than DFS because of a price point situation. But if you're in a dynasty league and you don't have Helm, consider making a move there if you can, because he seriously looks like he and Ward have got something going on here, and Helm looks pretty good. In terms of the ground attack, Tony Pollard ran for 160-2 last week. This week we all said, yeah, he'll pull back. And even though the matchup with the Niners is not painful, how can you utilize Pollard? Well, he ran for 101. So he's now over 260 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns the last 2 games. I know. Tajay Spears only touched the ball 5 times, had 36 yards. He wasn't even involved. It was all Tony Pollard. So we're in a scenario now where Tony Pollard's getting 15 touches a week. He's run for 100 yards 2 straight weeks. He's run for a touchdown 2 straight weeks. We'll talk more about him in terms of whether he's usable. He needs Tony Pollard in the semifinals in most leagues. Anyway, pass catching wise, DK dropped the pass, 4 catches for 17 yards too, and there's just nothing going on there. On the Niners side of things, Brock Purdy went for 295 and 3. He also ran for 44 yards, a very excellent fantasy effort for Brock Purdy. George Kittle, 8 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Juwan Jennings is now, I think, got 6 touchdowns in 6 games after scoring twice yesterday. Only had 3 catches, but he scored twice. Christian McCaffrey caught 1 pass. Ugh. He ran 22 times for 73 yards. Ugh. Got in the end zone. And he was dealing with an illness. He was dealing with a back injury. He got in the end zone, so it wasn't a total waste, but that's 23 touches for 87 yards and 1 catch. That's about as bad as you possibly could have dreamed a scenario for McCaffrey who wasn't hurt. Like, that's about as bad as it could be. Real storyline, I'm speaking of getting hurt, like Ricky Pearsall, man, like great matchup on paper. Jeff Mans was very positive about him. I think Jeff Mans predicted, if I'm not mistaken, his guarantee was 15 PPR points. Am I remembering that right? 15.6 PPR points. I was very reluctant to tell people to play Pearsall. I would say when asked, well, the matchup is great, but he went out and caught 6 balls for 96 yards. So what's the problem? Well, he left this game with a foot injury at one point, came back from that, looked fine. Then he tweaked his knee again. So there were 2 injuries he dealt with in the game yesterday. And now there's more tests being run today. I don't know if he's going to play the next game for the Niners. I don't know what this, like, come on, man. Deebo Samuel gets traded. Brandon Ayuk is done with the team. You're supposed to be the number 1 wide receiver, and this guy can't even stay on the field. He had 2 injuries yesterday. Come on, man. We're hearing that his PCL injury, it can be re-aggravated, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's uncertain as we sit here on a Monday morning if Ricky Pearsall is going to play the next game for the 49ers. Finally, Minnesota improved to 6-8. The Cowboys fall to 6-7-1. The Vikings won 34-26 on Sunday Night Football. McCarthy went for 250-2. Who cares? 2 touchdowns for Jonathan Naylor. Or Jalen Naylor, sorry. I don't even know the guy's name. 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. Whoopie-doo. Addison, 2 for 66. Who cares? Hawkinson, 4 for 66. Okay, at least you got something if you used him. Justin Jefferson scored a touchdown that, of course, didn't count because of a penalty. Dropped the pass, had 2 for 22 yards. No matter how good McCarthy plays or how much success this team has the rest of the way, if we're not getting 6 catches, 7 catches a week for 85 yards for Justin Jefferson, it's just a loss. Like, you're going to go into the offseason with Justin Jefferson with this, which you can't have JJ McCarthy as your starting quarterback next season if this is the way it's going to end with Justin Jefferson. You can't. Justin Jefferson's going to the Hall of Fame. He is an elite, otherworldly talent, and he catches 2 balls for 20 yards every week with JJ McCarthy. You can't. They have got to figure this out the last couple of games. On the other side of things, Cowboys, Dak Prescott went for 294 yards, but no touchdowns. Disappointing effort there. CeeDee Lamb was fine, 6 for 111. George Pickens, 3 catches, 33 yards. Second game in a row where his effort's being questioned. And this is, I mean, what a brutal time for Pickens to return to being who Pickens is. Again, 2 weeks in a row where he seemed slightly disinterested. He wants to get paid. You know, he wants to be this professional superstar and all this kind of stuff. Finish the season out, dude. Some games you're not going to catch 6 balls for 90 yards. Okay, it happens. Finish the season out. He has not shown the effort necessary the last 2 games. Another big storyline. That's a huge storyline especially for the Cowboys here the last couple weeks of the season. And for those of you that were able to make it through a Pickens effort like that yesterday, you want to obviously have him back to giving you 18 points a week the next game out. The other situation to monitor with the Cowboys is that Javonte Williams, 15 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. That looks pretty good. If you missed the game, he did have an injury. He barely played. He played like 10 snaps in the first half. He only played 20 snaps the whole game. 20 snaps, and he touched the ball 15 times, which is impossible. So the box score says fine. We have to watch this. Malik Davis had a touchdown with Williams out of the lineup. Maybe we get Jalen Blue I'm pretty sure we'd get Jalen Blue in the lineup if Williams is indeed down. But that's something to monitor this week because, again, Williams is 15 plus touches every week, right? He's at 80 scrimmage yards every week. He's a touchdown option every week. Have to follow his health. He and Pickens, 2 storylines that I wasn't expecting to be talking about when that game was completed. Again, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up. Remember, and you can see it on the screen now, we're not just selling the football product right now. Support at fantasyguru.com. We also have the MVP plan, which is basically everything other than football and baseball. So those 2 sports are out in the MVP plan. You get NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, hockey, basketball, all of it in the MVP plan. Did you, by the way, see the Sharks game over the weekend? They were down 5-1 in the fourth period. 5-1 in the third period to the Penguins on the road. They scored 4 goals in the third period to tie the game and to send it overtime and won in overtime. They were down 5-1 on the road in the third period, and they won the game in OT. Never happens. Go Sharks. Mac and Celebrini, 3 points in third period, and overtime. I'm all messed up here. Go Sharks. Anyway, the MVP plan. Hockey, basketball, MMA, PGA, NASCAR, horse racing, soccer, all of it. Get signed up right now over at fantasyguru.com. We've got people wanting us. Here we go. Trevor Lawrence, according to F1 WEC, Trevor Lawrence, football. Oh, yes, football. Yes, I think I'd like to play. Yes. He did a very good job. And then we got a couple of people saying, hey, if I sign up with their product, we'll make a lot of money and stuff. I'm probably not going to do that. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Really appreciate it. Remember, the Elite Sports Show with Jeff Mans is on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, which is about an hour from now. So you watch the show in the morning for an hour, you take a break, you go over to FG, ask some questions in Discord, you read some articles, you get a little sandwich or a cup of coffee, and then you listen to the Elite Sports Show with Jeff from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, about an hour again from now. You can follow me on social medias at The Ray Flowers. You can find me back here tomorrow. We're going back to our normal schedule this week. So I'll be back tomorrow with Armando Mersal. Wednesday will be Rich Mileto and Justin Fensterman. I'll be over with Jeff on SiriusXM. Thursday, it'll be me and Tyler Beaker. And then Friday will be me and Russell Clay. All of the guests on this show the next 4 days, Tuesday through Friday, all of them appear about a half hour in at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Good luck in the game between Miami and Pittsburgh tonight. If you still got some game action available, we'll be leaving comments and questions and answering those over in the chat room at fantasyguru.com. And remember, click that support tab in the top right corner. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner to get signed up. So many things to remember here. I'm surprised I don't misspeak more often. But anyway, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner or send that email if you have any questions to support@fantasyguru.com. Happy holiday season. Smile. Tell the people you love that they're important to you. And we'll see you again here tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.